ridiculous ramblings. What else are they going to do? They're seated here. Aren't you seated here? Is there anyone seated here?
I'm seated here.
He's seated here. Everyone clap for him. Clap for Bob. He's seated here. You owe me $10.
Fine. I'm taking it from Bob's paycheck. There we go. All right then. Well,
German now.
well,
Ladies and ladies, I am James Buckland.
I am Patrick Dirks.
And we welcome you to the Full Steel Combat Panel of Champions! This is notably their favorite part of the performance because they get to sit themselves down for a change. But the trade-off is that you get to ask them anything you want. And they have to answer. So I think the best way, I think this cable is longer. I'll go around about to collect questions. You stay here and make them sweat, huh?
Fair enough.
All right then. Let's see. Do I begin on this side or this side here? This side, what do you think? Nothing. Do I begin on this side?
There you go.
Give me another shot. Do I begin on this side? Do I begin on this side? All right, one more time because that was dead even. This side. And this side. I'll see you later. Anyone have a question for the armor champions here today?
Raise your hand high if you have a question.
Aye. Is that? No, that was it. Is that one? No, not that one. That's that one. Aye. Yes, question. From the inconspicuous gentleman in the nice shades. How long have you been doing this? Are you asking for years or mileage?
Go down the, and how long have we been doing this?
Hi, I'm Carly. I've been doing it for 3.5 years.
I've been fighting on and off for about 2.5 years. I've been doing it for about a year.
Hi, I'm Marlon Jackson. I've been fighting on and off for about 2.5 years.
Grant Kessler, I've been doing about 2.5 years. I'm Sir Gregor. I've been doing this for 3 years.
James, about 3 years.
I'm Joshua. I started. Over here.
Josh.
So, I'm Joshua. I started the show Full Steel Combat. I've been doing this for about 4 years now.
I'm Anthony. I've been doing this for about 6 years.
And I think we missed these two right there in the front. You might want to get a go here because we don't want to get in front of the speaker. Made that mistake once.
I'm Christina. I've been fighting for 4 months.
Curran, I've been doing this for about 2.5 years.
So collectively, all of these knights have been fighting for longer than either of us have been alive.
Speak for yourself, man. It's interesting that some of them are on and off, and I suppose some of that is recovery time. Isa, who makes all of your arms and armor?
Who makes all of the arms and armor?
So he's going to generally prefer
A lot of it's done by a guy named Pavel from Ukraine, and there's a chunk of armors from Ukraine. Some from Poland, Russia too.
Less now.
Much less now, hey?
Hopefully changing that around. Let's see, is there one more from this side before I swap over? Hi! What's that? Favorite weapon?
Ooh, favorite weapons.
Name your favorite
I think we can go down the line with this one. Favorite weapon.
Definitely my two-handed axe I've got right here.
I'm a big fan of sword.
Two-handed axe.
Don't make me choose.
It's like Sophie's Choice.
I really don't want to choose either, but it's between this or that. Oh, I love me long bonky boy. McLean standing right there.
Monkey boy.
This butter knife.
A butter knife. Hey.
What I actually prefer more than anything is my shield. And most people don't think of a shield as a weapon, but in our sport, it very much is. So when we use these, it's not like what you might see in a movie where someone's mainly blocking with it. My objective is to punch someone squarely in the face. It straps to my forearm and my hand, and so I can throw punches with it, like this, and the edge of it is completely in steel. So it's behind leather, but there is a steel edge around the wooden shield. So this actually hits harder than anything else I normally fight with.
And naturally, he can do this all day.
I fight with a sword and a buckler, and the buckler is also a solid steel buckler, so it hits with a lot more weight. Weighs about 7.5 to 8 pounds.
So a swamp smoke over next.
Let's hear it for bucklers.
I prefer sword and buckler because it's a lot lighter, it's a lot easier for me to move. But Carly likes her axe, so I also an axe.
I used to go mainly with a two-handed axe and larger weapons, but lately I've been kind of switching over to one-handed sword and board. Like Josh was saying, the amount you can punch with the shield is great, but there's a lot of other tactics. It's really good to put in your opponent's face and blind them. They can't see you, they can't hit you. So you can move this and move around and whack them wherever you need to, get some weak points. So lately I've been doing more of the mace, because mace especially is fun because one, it's real loud, and two, you don't have to worry about what direction you're holding it. Because a lot of times if you're holding an axe or you're holding a sword, and you hit real hard and it twists in your hand, all of a sudden you're hitting with the back of an axe, you don't realize it until why is it not feeling right? And it's because you're hitting backwards. And then everybody's laughing at you because you look like an idiot. But don't have a problem with the mace.
There you are.
Chad, you know, the heavy armor in the earlier bouts that we had, it looked like a lot of great bashing and clashing, but clearly there's a lot of skill involved in this. Now, you have a question. Does it hurt? Let's go more in depth. How much does it hurt?
A lot.
All of it.
All of it. So remember that as you get over the line. And yes, any serious injuries?
So this will actually tie into that. On the does it hurt? So armor, for the most part, does its job. There is a reason medieval knights wore it. It works. But if you get hit somewhere where there's a gap in your armor, you're gonna feel it. So while he's hitting me there, he can do that all day. It's not gonna be an issue. But if he was to hit me, say, here or there, I'm not gonna wanna fight anymore today. And that's not fun. And that also carries over into what kind of injuries. So it might not hurt to get hit in the knee, but if you get kneed in the side of your knee, like what happened to me while my foot was planted, I tore my ACL and lost my meniscus. So it has been a long road to come back from that. I gained a lot of weight and I don't do marathons anymore.
Anybody else have any interesting injuries?
Hi, sir.
All right, we've got another question.
Okay, so before we had a question about who makes the armor, do you own and bring your own armor? Or is this for the group?
It's all personal.
All
personal
personally
armor.
owned.
All personally owned.
Fortunately, it doesn't cost much, right? That's a joke, it's bloody expensive. Hi. When are we going to start? The next competition will begin at 3 o'clock in this very same place. Reserve your seats. If you found a clean one, keep it. Let's see. Anyone over here? Hey! One moment, I'm going to set this down and collect your question. You, be entertaining.
Right there. Let's talk about more about other injuries. You had an injury story.
Oh yeah, I've got a few. A couple of years, my first injury was my left knee. Tore that ACL. Taped it up, braced it up, kept fighting, and then tore my right ACL. After a few more months of that, I decided I should probably get them fixed. So I got both those fixed, but then had to get surgery for compartment syndrome. And then as soon as I got back from that recovery, I was in my second or third practice, and then I completely tore my bicep off of my arm. And that was just because of a just freak coincidence or accidental movement on a strike. So it wasn't even getting struck hard. But we have friends that have broken bones. We had one friend who had an axe hit him in the head after his helmet came off. So they subsequently made a strap named after him called the Simon strap, which now straps the back of our helmet to our brig in the back. So we're all required to have that now so that our helmet doesn't come off as easily. It still happens sometimes, but it shouldn't. But yeah, and the sport's riddled with injuries. We try to mitigate them, but with the rules, any sport's going to have its injuries, and those same sport injuries are usually the most common that we have here too, just knee injuries, stuff like that. That could be helped with braces, but you can't really stop them because when you're planted, you get hit from the side by Harlan, your knee's going to pop. So we try to minimize them, but everyone here loves the sport enough that I had 4 surgeries in a year, and I'm back. So I'm super excited to keep fighting. You just gotta love it.
The young Master Hogwarts yonder, his question had to do with material. Iron, steel, what kind of steel are your weapons made of?
What kind of steel? Hard spring steel, wood, titanium. Sorry, say that. Let's not knock into things. Say that again.
Well, we wear titanium for our armors, but not for our weapons.
Fair enough.
Another
Basically,
question. Hey, questions here. Have any of you competed in Europe or have aspirations to compete worldwide? We've got some travelers here.
At least half of us competed in the Nationals last year and got bronze for team melees. And we had planned on going to compete for Europe earlier this year, but they canceled it. So we're hoping for next year.
Let's hit it for next year then. Hi.
It might be easier if you calm down and sit.
All right, so the question here is, if you were all to fight, who would win? Raise your hand. That question will be answered. If you come to the 3 o'clock, the final part of the bouting is a battle royal, where everyone goes against everyone. Come for that violence. Anyone else? If you run out of questions, please start asking.
The first match we had this one as the winner of that one. That was the winner of the Battle Royale.
Barely!
They let him win to get his confidence up, eh? How do you get your weapons?
How do you get your weapons?
So we're actually sponsored by Asgardian Armory. They sell weapons at the Texas Renaissance Festival. Hopefully we'll get them out here next year with a booth. But they provide a lot of our swords and axes. And then, of course, some of us have certain ones we want and they purchase them on their own. But Asgardian Armory is going to be a good source locally if you're looking for weapons in the area.
But to reiterate, this is not the manner of thing you usually find for $60 to hang on a wall. Oh, these are very important weapons, and the price reflects it. There's quality there. There is quality there. Anyone else? Another question. Aye. Once more, the next competition will be at 3. Let me go over to this side again. Da, 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 da. This cable is a thing. Da, 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 da. No one stepped on. That's good. Any questions over here? Aye. Interesting. He's asking about particular styles or systems that any of you have adopted for this combat, historically speaking. You're an expert.
I know it looks like a lot of it's just smashing and bashing. The vast majority of our actual technique comes from the Talhofer manual. Some of us use Lichtenauer, Capofeo, Agrippa. All those fun things that you heard in Princess Bride, they're real. They're woodcuts. There's a few places here in Houston area. Sword to Sword actually teaches HEMA, historical medieval battles and stuff like that. Talhoffer is one of our big ones, especially with the pole arms. Mason Buckler is a lot of smashing and bashing, but there are some Agrippa and Capafeo finesse stuff. The axes, I mean, just swing an axe, like chopping down a tree. You've met Nick.
The tree.
I practiced George Silver myself.
Hang on, we
which is
got
why
some
no
more
one
to
likes
that
me.
question. Hang on.
Just to add on top of that too, a lot of us have done Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, karate, jiu-jitsu, fencing, a lot of different things. So that adds all into it as well.
Marvelous.
Oh, wait.
Let's see.
Hey, shoot.
Oh, wait. Did we have any more?
I have nothing to add except for this is an MMA sport. When we go to competition, a lot of what we're doing is not necessarily trying to strike each other. Especially in a melee, we're trying to bring our opponents to the ground. So a lot of my training goes into judo, different kinds of Roman Greco, and anything that we can use to grapple and bring each other down is mainly what we're going to train. But striking does help as well. Like striking technique is important as well. But what we're looking to do is not do a bunch of strikes like that aren't really going to hurt our opponent. We're looking to make really big, hard impact to perform what we call pain compliance. If you can pain your opponent to the ground, that works too.
Pain compliance. I like the sound of that. What is about the average cost of a complete suit of armor?
$2,200 to $2,800.
22 to 28.
To start.
That's dollars, I assume.
Yes.
Yes. I'm so sorry. Anyone else?
So on the cost of a suit of armor, just like most hobbies when you get into it, you can spend as much as you want. Some of the really pretty full plate kits go up to $10,000. So it is not a sport that you jump into lightly. You want to make sure this is a commitment you're going to stick with for years, or you're just willing to have a really cool suit of armor on display for a long time.
Have you seen these lads jump? There is nothing light about their jumpery. How much does the armor weigh?
Armor weigh? About 80 pounds, depending.
So armor can weigh several different amounts depending on what steel it's made out of and who is it going on because of how much coverage you have to have. If you look at someone like myself, it's going to weigh one amount, but then with her, she's going to wear a lot less armor. But then with big old Nick, that's a lot of extra metal you got to put on there to cover that body up, let me tell you. So the cost and the weight does make a difference. Where my first suit weighed 120 pounds because it was all made out of spring steel. But this suit that I wear now is made out of titanium that only weighs 45 pounds. Every bit's different. On average, most suits weigh about 45 to 70 pounds at the most.
Any questions other than this side? What is your favorite? One-on-one, 5-or-5, or each person for themselves?
I say 1v1, there's more personal glory.
I love 5v5s. I like going to war with my sisters.
Yeah, 5v5s. Team fights are a lot of fun.
All for all, chaos.
1v1 because you really get to study a person while you're fighting them instead of trying to figure out which one.
I'm not a fan of the 5v5s. I like watching people panic when they realize they have to fight me and only me.
It's not.
Yeah, definitely the 1v1 duels for me.
So I'm a big fan of the 5v5s because you actually have to use a lot of teamwork and strategy. A lot of us run plays when we have our team practices on the weekends, and so we actually have positions. We go out there with a plan and we try to execute it, but once you get hit in the face, sometimes it goes out the window.
Everybody has a plan, and you punch in the face.
I'm a fan of the melee fights, 5-on-5, 10-on-10, things like that. But now the older that I'm getting, it's much easier to do the 1 versus 1.
God, that's a good question because they all have their pros and cons. I used to enjoy the free-for-alls, all of y'all's a lot, but then I just constantly get hit from behind by Harlan. So 1v1's like probably my favorite, just because you can study the opponent, and then like he said, there's a good feeling in sizing someone up and then fighting them, and then when you win that one, it's like, okay, just me and them, and I won. Whereas team fight, it's teamwork, it's great, it's good to work with your team, and there's a different feeling there for your team winning, but it's less personal. So I'd say 1v1's better.
Being so new in the sport, I've only ever done 1v1, so far that's my favorite.
I like the team fights. I like the strategy that goes into it. And when you're playing your strategy, you could overcome a stronger team with just better fighters if you work together correctly. Haven't been a lot of them, so that's fun.
Let's come back over here for another round.
Oh, he's going.
He's going to say something.
So one question we get asked a lot is, how do you get into doing this sport? How do you start? So this sport is actually huge internationally. In the United States, it's not quite as big yet, but overseas, this is their heritage. You know, this is their ancestors. So over there, there's several big leagues. Here in the United States, we've got 3 as well. We have HMB USA. We have ACW and ACS, Armored Combat Sports. That's where most of our fighters come from, is that league, and that's the national championships that a few of us went to last year and took bronze. And so the first thing you want to do to get started is find the team nearest you. If you're local to the Houston area, you want to look for the San Jacinto Knights of Houston on Facebook. That's going to be your local competitive team. So reach out to them. They've got practices all throughout the week and on the weekends. And so that's where you can go meet everybody up close in person and actually get to try out some armor, do some drills, and see if this is something that you'd want to stick with for the long haul.
And the Iron Legion for ladies.
And the Iron Legion is Houston's team for ladies. Apparently it's run by Carly. So if anybody is interested in getting started out in the sport, come talk to us after this panel, and we can actually get you pointed all the right directions and get you in touch with the people to get you going.
Any questions on this side?
Any more questions on that side?
I have a question. What is the minimum base attack bonus you have to have before you can join this group?
Plus 4.
Plus 4 it is.
We got someone over there.
He's wondering what is protecting your chest underneath your tabards here.
Anybody work? Oh, he's got one here.
So anticipating this question, I brought one forward. In movies, you'll see a lot of the solid breastplate. People do use that, but it's a lot more pricey. It has to be made custom sized to you to work right, and so it's a lot less forgiving when you're ordering that from overseas. You can't really just try it on and ship it back to get it tweaked without waiting, 3 months to get it back to them and 3 months to get it back to you. So you'll see most of us wear what's called brigandine armor, where the outside is fabric, but inside is plates. And so this is more forgiving on fit, and it's a lot more cost friendly. So these plates all move because they're riveted in, so you have a little more flexibility there, but it still protects you. Not quite as good as a solid plate cuirass, but it does its job.
Question. Another one from this way.
I suppose I have one that I could offer up, because I noticed at the front of the stage here, we have many different stylings of helmets here. I suppose one question I would have is, do they serve a particular function, or are they mostly just for style points? Style points mostly?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. The biggest difference you'll get in functionality with helmets, they all serve the purpose of, keeping your head safe, which the helmets and probably gauntlets are the single most expensive pieces that we have. This helmet right here that he's holding up is an Eastern style. Underneath that chain, there's some other plates, but in the front of it, there's actually, you see these welded rods, and the biggest functionality difference in a lot of these helmets, you'll see some like this right here that just have holes in this faceplate, is going to be breathability and visibility. So a lot of the more European style with the pig face over there with the tiny little eyes, you don't have as much visibility. So if you're tall, like Nick, and you have a helmet that you can only see out of very little slits, you can't see below you. It's the same thing if you're short and you're trying to look up and you can't have that visibility. So you gotta really find a helmet that works best for you. And a lot of the leagues require that your armor be in compliance with if you've got a 15th century armor setup, you've got to have a 15th century helmet. Now, not all of them are that strict, especially not here in America. We're not as big on the rules. A lot of people just like to look pretty. And most people buy them because they like the look of them. But when you've been doing this long enough, you want to find something that you're able to see and breathe out of, but also matches your suit. So, like that right there, that's a, Josh's helmet right there that he's now coming to have, it's called wolf rib. Wolf rib is becoming very popular because it's just as protective, but it's almost completely, it's a little less protective. You always sacrifice something. So the more visibility and breathability, the more possibility you might get a sway axe tip in your eye. But they usually try to keep these far enough from the face that even if something was to go on it, it's stopped by a bar. But the breathability and visibility in the wolf rib is unmatched by any other helmet.
Any more questions, James?
Well, I do have another one. Oh, wait, no, yeah, but how physically demanding do you consider this sport?
Everybody watches this sport and says, I could do that. I've been doing MMA for years. I could do that. I've been studying this. And I have no doubt that you have great skills and you could be training every day. But the problem is once you put that 80, 100 pounds of armor on and get into one round, you're down in 30 seconds. Anybody can do the sport, but it just takes time to train to get that stamina to hold that armor up. And everybody mentioned all the different types of training that they have, and it all goes into it. But doing a judo throw in full armor is a lot different than doing a judo throw with someone, in nothing. So everything's modified. But yeah, your stamina is the biggest part of this. Your gas tank is what we like to call it, and keeping gas in that tank. It's very, very, very physically demanding. And while some of us may not look like we're in the best shape, we've been doing this stuff that at least our gas tank's high enough that we can put on armor and go. But a lot of times, even us, you'll watch us do a round, and then we look like we're absolutely going to die. And we have to take the helmet off and start breathing. It's a very demanding sport.
Anyone else want to add on to that?
So I've done Muay Thai for about a year and a half, 2 years, along with some jiu-jitsu and powerlifting for like 3.5 years now, solid. And it's still not the same as putting on armor and fighting at all. So.
And of course, here you have air conditioning. We do also do these events in unair-conditioned spots outside. So layers of insulation under a conductor out in that. I don't think I need to say anymore.
Indeed not. Hydrate.
Questions here, Masai. See, my question, Sir Joshua.
Yes, sir.
According to this, at 3 o'clock when it comes to dueling, you will be facing Sir Garrett, huh?
That's correct.
What would you like to say to him so that he knows just what he's up against?
Well, if you can stay on your feet, maybe you'll have a shot this time, buddy.
Sir Garrett, rebuttal?
Not everyone can buy a football helmet.
Didn't your father purchase the same helmet as me at the same time? Could you not have jumped in on that order?
I don't have daddy's money.
Master Kurtz, clearly they need managers.
Clearly.
Any other questions? Oh, didn't make him another one. Anyone over here?
We have a question over here.
Ah, excellent. You, sir, the person we've never met before.
So some of you are wearing glasses. What do you have?
You don't. Take them off. Or contacts. Lean over the mic.
Getting hit with something, you're going to start moving out of the way. So
real fun to be in this team.
So no glasses under the helm is what you're saying. All right, so what he's saying there is this is a full contact sport.
We did receive one question, which is, where else can we see this style of fighting, specifically with this group? And I can answer that question out at the Texas Renaissance Festival.
Well, why don't you answer it right here then?
Very well. You can see these nights more fully at the Texas Renaissance Festival, which will be happening this October. So be sure to see more of them there.
Unfortunately, you will also see some more of Master Dirks and myself.
Hey. So there's give and take.
If you check out fullsteelcombat.com, we've got Instagram and Facebook. Anytime we have events going on, we do them all the time in Houston. We've got Southern Star Brewery that is one of our sponsors. We go out there and do some events. We've done NASCAR events in Austin and Dallas and Charlotte. Anytime we have something new, we'll post it up. If you want to come see us, we'd love to have you all out there.
Marvelous.
And they'll also be fighting again here at 3 o'clock this afternoon and the same times on the morrow, both 11 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon.
Hey. Let's see here. Any other questions? Not everyone at once.
They're following that direction easily enough, are they not? Was that a question of it here, or was I deceiving myself? I was deceiving myself.
So one question we also get is, how old do you have to be to participate? 18 to do it in full steel. There are some people working on getting a kids league going, which is foam fighting, because a lot of the training that we do is with foam armor and foam weapons during the week, because this will wear and tear on your body wearing this weight that often. So foam fighting is how we train throughout the week, and then we'll usually have 1 or 2 kit days a week. So the foam leagues are getting started for children, so keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. If you have kids that are interested, we can't put your kids in steel, but they can start out with foam, learn the techniques, learn how to do everything, and that way when they do turn 18, they've got a huge jump start on all of us that didn't start until we were 35.
And I suppose I have a question that I suppose can jump off of that one, which was, what point did each of you decide, like what was the driving point that made you decide you wanted to pursue this career?
It's pretty simple. I love violence.
I don't know, I've always seen it and one day just kind of thought, why not?
Who wouldn't want to wear armor and fight in it?
True facts.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Same, I was fencing and wanted some more and saw this at a Red Fest.
You're welcome.
It's a sport where I can hit people in the face as hard as I can, and no one yells at me. No high sticking, no fouls, none of that. Do you have any idea how annoying that is?
I imagine fairly.
So I was actually a performer at TRF with Josh and her and Andrew there. And yeah, I didn't want to dance anymore because I didn't like it. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Yeah, I didn't want to dance anymore. And then I was in a stage combat for years and years. And then Josh started the show, and I'm like, I want to do that. I have some armor. And Josh is like, yeah, come on, we need you. Like, okay, bye.
Now he plays with an enormous butter knife.
So, getting into this, you know, most of us here have some level of nerdiness to us. You know, we grew up nerds. I didn't really get in shape until I was in my 20s, and I started doing obstacle course races. I was training for an Ironman at one point, which hopefully I'll get back to. And I was working at the Renaissance Festival doing stage combat, and I was like, I want something more. Like, I want to really hit each other, and that's when I found this sport. And I made the transition from casting my shots to getting the follow through. And if you have never hit someone in the face with an axe, you should really try it sometime, because you'll be hooked. I mean, until they hit you back. But that first hit feels great.
Before parents complain about what kind of influence we are, you brought them here.
So with myself, my biggest influence is, as a child, I always grew up reading different things of King Arthur and those type of books. And I always wanted as a child to be a knight in shining armor. That was my hero. So as an adult, I get to actually do that.
This one?
For me, all those same things. Big nerd, love armor and medieval stuff and all that jazz, and I've been going to Renaissance Festival for years. But the biggest thing that got me into it was peer pressure from Josh. So
lesson learned, peer pressure, it works.
So this is all Carly's fault. No, same thing. I love Renaissance Festival, axes and armor, and hitting my friends in general before I even did it with an axe. So I acquired for a year, decided I loved it, bought armor. Here we are.
Oh yeah.
In this sport, you don't have to worry about people not calling their hits, so that's refreshing.
There we are. All right then.
It's not a dig at another three-letter acronym organization, is it? I mean, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong.
Any other questions we have? Anybody?
On the right.
What?
On the right.
Question on the right?
Oh, here we are. Where? Where's the? Ah, there's the hand. We only have the one cable. If it breaks, I get in great trouble. Any other fairs at which you do this combat aside from TRF? You mentioned Sherwood in particular.
We have not yet at Sherwood. It's been talked about, and I know there's some other people that have had an interest in doing it out there. This sport may be there one day. Nothing official yet. But so far, the Texas Renaissance Festival is the only Ren Fest we've done this at.
Our show. Our show.
Oh, Viking Fest.
Oh, Viking. Okay, so Viking Fest is over.
We did Viking Fest. We did not do it this last year.
Any others? Let's see here.
You keep mentioning it as a sport, and clearly it is for that competition aspect to it. What's the difference between this and what most people may think of when they're thinking of historical European martial arts endeavors? All right, give that to Sir James.
There is some of that. There's points and striking in some of the ACW and the ACS and the IMCF sports. But what we do is toss big dude here to the ground. But there is some of that in the sport itself. It's not as much fun, I don't think. You're gonna see two dudes tapping each other with swords and then spend 5 minutes counting points, and that's kind of boring. But yeah, there is technique, just like in anything else, and it's just not as fun as throwing Josh to the ground multiple and then having him cry like a baby after he's done.
Would you say this is closer to historical tournament style competition?
The weaponry and the armor, yeah. It's based on it. Buhurt in particular, the name of the sport is, flat out means to just a wallop a dude. But yeah, it's there's a lot of that in it.
So what we do is considered buhurt. That was a historical training that they did and tournaments they put on. So when the knights weren't out at battle, they still need to sharpen their skills, and they would get bored. So they put on tournaments where they would fight each other to see who would win. And that's where all these rules developed, where people were starting to die, and you don't want your knights dying at tournaments. So that's when blunted weapons became a thing. So this is a modern recreation of an actual historical sport.
All right then. I believe I can ask something, which is, I believe we have many knights up here that are from many different walks of life. Do you have any other forms of employment that you have? And if not, what was it that you did before you started sword fighting? I'm actually going to start down here.
I was a full-time student. Right now I'm working on my commercial pilot's license.
I'm a florist.
I'm a utilities inspector.
I'll build cabinets.
I'm a senior buyer with Harris County. Inventory control manager.
I'm an engineer.
I make orange juice.
I'm a truck dispatcher Monday through Friday, but this is what I do on the weekends.
I'm a law enforcement officer.
And we as bards are unemployed.
Give us your money anyway.
Let's see. Any other?
Let's see. Questions? I know I saw some people coming over here strictly to eat, but since you're eating here, any questions for the Grand Warriors on the stage? How's that? When's the next night? 3 o'clock. No, they can leave, you can stay until then, or return, you can go somewhere else. It's very simple, man. Clearly you're the Flash, it shouldn't be a problem to go there and back again. No wait, that's for hobbits, never mind. Hi, is that, oh no, that's just mother and child playing, there's no question. It's a grand sight, but it's no question.
Alright, well, we still have 20 minutes left in the panel. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to come and ask them tonight, personally they will be here. We'll also be available for photographs if anybody wishes to. And if anybody has any more questions, we will be here for the next 20 more minutes.
Oh, we got one over there.
Oh, we got one over here? We got one over here.
Getting the cardio in today. Where's your hand? There you go. How do you finance this project?
Your wife said yes.
I mean, is it highway theft or... Not sure how many highways you can steal.
Very supportive spouses. Tax returns help also.
You do mean your own spouses. They're trying to be clear.
All right then. Well, as I've said, we will be here for the next 20 more minutes, but we do thank you.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we got one more. One more right over there.
Two.
Are you going to challenge Teddy Cruz while he's here?
Gregor will do it.
Gregor says bring it. There's a one over here as well. Hi. Who is the youngest knight present?
Garrett.
How old?
26.
26. Knights, man, you're hardly an afternoon.
Who's the oldest knight here?
There's the eldest. It is definitely struck midnight.
50. Look damn good, man.
It's the armor that gives him shape heights that dad bought.
Yeah.
Can still work under it. Anyone, anyone else? Oh, that's one here? One moment.
The cord can only go so far.
Young Master Loki wants to know, which of you so-and-sos is the meanest knight here?
Me.
Oh, you're the meanest knight? Oh no, you're the question. Come. What happens if your helmet is knocked off? People scream hold.
Yes.
So we have to immediately stop the fight anytime there is an armor malfunction that's noticed. So whether it's just a helmet or your shoulder, a leg, the fight stops and you are out.
For a helmet, there are specific rules with the chin straps for it staying on. So if your helmet comes off repeatedly, you can actually get red carded and kicked out of a tournament for not having a safe helmet. Very good. All right then.
I know, sir, if you keep carrying that hammer around all day, you're going to be very poor by the end of it. I'm going to get hit.
All right then. Any other questions that we have? Oh, we have one over here.
How difficult is it for a girl to get into this competition?
Ladies, if you want to learn how to fight, please look up the Iron Legion on Instagram. We can make it really easy for you. Like, get a lot of things, like people say like, oh, I'm not in shape, I've never hit anybody before. That's okay. We will get you in shape. We will show you how to hit people. You will not believe the confidence that you will gain coming to war with your sisters. If you ever wanted to hurt someone, if you ever thought you were a little bloodthirsty, please come through, please. It is not hard. We will bring you in.
That's a lot.
I can see why she's the meanest.
I don't know about mean. She's certainly the most enthusiastic.
Certainly that. All right then.
I'll just ask, is there any more questions she might answer?
Let's see, are there any more questions we have?
Hello, right there. Wee hands, tiny hands, large hands.
All right then.
That's a selfie, so no.
All right. I think we can go and wrap it up. Well, we appreciate you coming and attending this panel. We will still be here for a few more minutes, so if you have any personal questions that you'd like to come up and meet each of these knights personally, we will be here in a few moments. We will also be here for photographs. But just as a reminder, we have one more tournament at 3 o'clock so that you can see all these wonderful knights that you've come to meet beat each other senseless. Woo! Here we go.